What began as a quiet royal outing outside King Edward VII's hospital turned into a moment that stopped the entire nation. No palace press release, no official announcement, just a simple exchange, raw, unscripted, and unforgettable. A reporter's question cut through the cold London air. "How is the Princess of Wales doing?" Prince Edward paused, glanced at Sophie, and then, with a calm voice that carried generations of royal restraint, said just 8 words that changed everything. "She is in the early months of her pregnancy." The world froze. For a heartbeat, you could almost hear the gasps echoing across every news desk and living room. Sophie's quiet smile, that small, knowing nod, confirmed what royal watchers had only dared to whisper. In that instant, years of uncertainty, fear, and silence were replaced with something the monarchy hadn't felt in a long time: hope. Because this wasn't just a royal pregnancy announcement. It was a symbol, a rebirth, a reminder that even after illness, loss, and relentless scrutiny, the royal family still finds a way to carry on. And yet, as that clip spread across the internet, one question lingered. Was this moment spontaneous, or was it part of something much bigger happening behind palace walls? It all happened in a matter of seconds. A small crowd, a few reporters, and 2 royals who thought they were simply there for support. Prince Edward and Duchess Sophie had just exited King Edward VII's hospital after visiting King Charles, their faces calm but noticeably heavy with concern. The press, hungry for any update on the royal family's condition, called out questions, the usual routine. But then came the question. One voice, cutting through the noise: "Is the Princess of Wales recovering well?" Edward stopped mid-step. For a moment, it looked like he might ignore it, like every other carefully managed royal encounter. But then something shifted. His expression softened, and he turned toward the cameras. With that poised, almost fatherly tone that only Edward carries, he said just 8 words that changed everything. "She is in the early months of her pregnancy." Sophie's reaction said it all. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. Her small nod, the way her lips curved into a quiet, emotional smile, that was confirmation enough. It was authentic. It was human. It was unscripted. And for the royal family, that almost never happens. Reporters froze, realizing they'd just witnessed something monumental. No official statement, no polished press release, just truth slipping out in real time. Within minutes, the clip spread across social media like wildfire. Millions watched, replayed, and shared, trying to read every expression on Edward's face, every flicker in Sophie's eyes. But what made this moment even more powerful was how ordinary it looked. No palace balcony, no rehearsed speeches, just 2 people caught in a rare flash of honesty. And in that simplicity, the monarchy suddenly felt real again. But what followed next would turn that small hospital exchange into one of the most emotional royal stories of the decade. For most people, it was just a short clip, a passing royal moment caught by chance. But for millions watching around the world, it meant something far greater. After months of uncertainty, the king's health struggles, Catherine's long absence, and the endless swirl of speculation, this was the moment that reminded everyone what the royal family truly represents: continuity, resilience, and life itself. It wasn't just the announcement of a pregnancy, it was proof that after every storm, there's still light breaking through the clouds. Royal fans described it as a sign of hope, saying it felt like the entire country exhaled for the first time in months. Outside Kensington Palace, people gathered with flowers and flags, as if instinctively drawn to celebrate. Social media lit up with emotional messages. After all the heartbreak, finally some good news. Britain needed this. And they weren't wrong. For a royal family that's endured public scrutiny, internal fractures, and relentless headlines about illness and loss, this single revelation changed the tone completely. The energy shifted, from concern and criticism to compassion and unity. It was as if the monarchy itself had taken a deep breath and whispered, "We're still here." Because in a world obsessed with their missteps, the royal family rarely gets moments that feel genuinely human, unguarded, imperfect, and heartfelt. But this time, the emotion was undeniable. Edward's voice trembled just enough to betray sincerity, and Sophie's eyes glistened with something more than duty. It was the kind of rare royal moment that transcended ceremony, one that made people forget titles, forget tradition, and simply feel connected again. But behind that joy, behind the public cheers and flashing cameras, lies a much deeper story, one of struggle, resilience, and a family that's quietly endured more than anyone realizes. To understand why this one sentence from Prince Edward shook the world, you have to look back at what the royal family has endured over the past year. Because before this moment of joy, there was a season of fear. It began with King Charles's health revelation, a diagnosis that left the nation stunned. The palace, known for its silence, confirmed only what it had to. The king was undergoing treatment for cancer. He stepped back from royal duties, and suddenly, the image of unbreakable stability, the crown itself, looked fragile for the first time in decades. And then came Catherine, the Princess of Wales, the future queen, disappearing from public life for months. At first, people assumed it was rest or recovery, but when reports surfaced that she too was receiving preventative treatment, the mood in Britain darkened. The tabloids buzzed with speculation. Even loyal supporters began to worry. What's really happening behind palace walls? In the background, Prince William was holding everything together, balancing fatherhood, royal duty, and private heartbreak. Insiders described him as exhausted but determined, visiting his father one day and supporting Catherine the next. And through it all, the king's youngest brother, Prince Edward, and his wife Sophie quietly stepped forward. They became the monarchy's steady hands, the ones filling in at ceremonies, greeting foreign guests, and keeping the royal calendar alive. For a while, it felt like the royal family was running on sheer willpower. Each public appearance carried a hidden question. How much longer can they keep going like this? And that's why Edward's simple admission outside that hospital wasn't just about a pregnancy, it was about survival. After months filled with whispers of loss, the words "early months of her pregnancy" sounded like a heartbeat, proof that the story wasn't ending, it was beginning again. The monarchy, once haunted by illness and uncertainty, finally had a reason to breathe, to hope, and to believe that new life can emerge from even the darkest moments. But behind those palace gates, there's another layer to this story, one far more personal, because while the world was celebrating, inside the Wales household, something even more powerful was unfolding. Behind the palace gates, beyond the cameras and the headlines, lies a quieter world, one that belongs entirely to Prince William and Princess Catherine. At Adelaide Cottage, tucked within the calm of Windsor Park, the future king and queen live a life that, despite its setting, feels astonishingly ordinary. Morning routines, school runs, laughter echoing through hallways. This is where the heart of the modern monarchy truly beats. And now that rhythm is changing once again. The Wales family, already bound by resilience, is preparing to welcome a new chapter, a fourth child, a new spark of joy after a year shadowed by uncertainty. Those close to the couple describe their reaction as pure relief and quiet gratitude. For William, who spent months balancing royal duty with private fear, this pregnancy feels like a sign that his family is truly healing. For Catherine, it's a personal victory, proof that she's emerged stronger after facing her most difficult battle yet. Inside their home, the energy is said to be one of gentle excitement. Prince George, now 12, is stepping into the role of the responsible older brother, protective, quietly proud. Princess Charlotte, always the spark of the household, has reportedly told her friends she hopes for a sister, someone to share secrets and laughter with. And little Prince Louis, at just 7, is bursting with questions, asking if the new baby will have their own room or steal all the pancakes. Even their pets, the family dog Orla and the children's rabbit Snowdrop, have unknowingly become part of the excitement. The calm before a new wave of life fills the cottage. But it's not just about the children. It's about what this moment represents for William and Catherine as partners. They've always shared a deep sense of teamwork, forged not just by love, but by shared responsibility. Late nights, talking, planning, worrying, holding each other up through sickness and strain. Now, at last, they can